All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Valentino's Vault. I have Karina Murmis here with me with Exit Realty Edge, and we have some great topics we wanted to dive into, hopefully educating you guys on different things to look out for. One of the first topics we wanted to discuss was some red flags that you can pick up on as an experienced agent, especially in the Long Island market. So what are some red flags that you notice right away in a transaction that stand out that may question the buyer, the seller, the lender, the attorney? What are some red flags that you notice in a transaction?
Well, I would say if I'm representing a buyer, I would say some of the red flags are if whenever we schedule an appointment, they're always canceling. Or when we are looking at properties, they're nitpicking at every single thing, because then at that point, I question how serious they are with purchasing, or if they just want to look. And then with sellers, I would say, I understand there's an emotional attachment to the property. However, if you are motivated to sell, you want to kind of get the ball rolling. So for those sellers that are constantly pushing the dates back, you have to really kind of go into that conversation a little bit deeper and make sure that this is what they want to do. Because of course you don't want to force them, but sometimes they do need a little bit of a nudge. And then when it comes to loan officers, I feel like whenever you want to verify a pre-approval, every loan officer kind of tells you the same thing, because they want you to feel confident in their work. However, unfortunately, some of them aren't as thorough. Mm-hmm. So red flag.
Along those lines with like some of the lenders, right? Mm-hmm. What are some of the most common answers that you get that are like, that's too bland or that's too generic?
Oh, they have great credit. It's always that. Everyone has great credit.
Everybody has great credit. Yeah.
FHA, but they have great credit.
Yeah. Okay. So if they tell you that my client has great credit, but it's an FHA loan, mm-hmm. that's a red flag. Most of the time, FHA loans are going to be more lenient when it comes to credit scores, right? So
of course,
there could be other reasons, mm-hmm. but that's something that's a light bulb that's going to pop off in your head.
Yeah, it's always they have great credit, or I already went through everything. They're good.
Yeah.
But it's so vague. So it's like, can you break that down for me? For instance, if the pre-approval says conventional, and I ask them, are they for sure conventional? Oh, I mean, they can go FHA. They might. I'm not sure. That's something that needs to be solidified. It cannot be something that you change after the fact. So that's definitely another red flag. And then as for attorneys, when they keep wanting to make changes to the contract, even when it's a generic contract, and they keep finding ways to kind of stall everything, that's a big concern, because I feel like attorneys can definitely make or break a deal.
Yeah. So just to play devil's advocate a little bit as mm-hmm. a lender,
okay,
in response to FHA conventional, right? Mm-hmm. There are some instances where they qualify for both, but ultimately the monthly payment could be differentiated by $200-$300 whether they go FHA or conventional. So sometimes if you qualify for a conventional loan, more times than not, you're going to qualify FHA. The down payment's probably going to be the same, but the interest rate may be 3/4 to a half a point to, almost a full point better with an FHA loan. And yes, they'll have upfront mortgage insurance premiums. They'll have other features. But sometimes if they qualify for both, and again, the listing agent is comfortable accepting either or, mm-hmm. that's a good conversation to have, because then you can kind of set your client up for success when it comes to the monthly payment. And if they have a very strict monthly payment goal, if their credit is not top tier, but they qualify conventional, again, they might be better off with a $100 cheaper monthly, private mortgage insurance payment. So it's really a monthly payment decision, not always do they qualify or do they not qualify. So sometimes that is the case with clients that I've worked with in the past. They qualify for both, mm-hmm. and ultimately, we're going to make our decision before we order the appraisal, because we don't want to be in a position where I have an FHA, appraisal for that property. I have the case number, right? There's a different trail when it comes to that appraisal and how long it sticks to that property. So just playing devil's advocate, there are some instances, but communication would solve that. If I explained that to you and I said they can qualify for both, mm-hmm. we would like to go conventional. The only reason we wouldn't is because the monthly payment's going to be $300 cheaper. And that's a really important, pressure point for them. But does that give you a bad feeling of that buyer being kind of on the edge and really, really, really focused on that monthly payment? Does that give you the wrong impression as well?
Not necessarily. I get more concerned if it's an FHA loan and I know that the house isn't up to FHA standards, because they're sticklers for certain things.
Right.
So if I know that this home needs some TLC, and it would make more sense to go down the conventional route, that's when I need the loan officer to be completely transparent with me, not just put in conventional because they think that's what's going to get their client the home and then ends up hurting them in the long run.
All right, awesome. So a couple of red flags if you're an agent, if you're a lender, things to look out for if you're a buyer. Maybe ask your agent, how did that conversation go with this person? You don't always want to know everything, but it's good to know, how the conversation went and getting some feedback from your professional in the transaction. So it's good stuff.
Yes.